This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We've got a big group of white rhinos behind us. Isn't this fantastic? Look at them, all of them grazing down in the grasslands behind us. Welcome to your very own live safari from the African wilds. Once again, welcome everyone to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Damon, and behind the camera we've got Marcel this afternoon. And we've come out once again into the plains of the far south of the reserve. Once again, we're searching for that mother cheetah with her two little cubs. But in the meantime, though, we've managed to find quite a big group of white rhinos. Have a look at them all, grazing behind us there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 white rhinos. Have a look at how there's kind of a couple of different sizes there, everyone. Can you see there's 2 much larger ones? And those would be 2 adult females. And then there's 3 youngsters. So see on the far right, that mother and then obviously her own calf that's there with her. But then the female on the left, see how she's got 2 youngsters that are following along behind her. Now, based on the fact that those 2 youngsters are not quite the same size, the 2 that are following the cow. Oh, look at that. Ooh, a little bit of tension there between the rhinos. So based on the fact that 2 of those 2 calves following the one cow are not the same size, they're not siblings, they're not twins. They would invariably be, one of them is, ooh, look at this, everybody. A little bit of tension here between the 2 rhino cows. So sorry, let's try that one more time. So what I think has happened here is that the cow on the left has got her own calf, and then she's kind of adopted, or another calf is kind of tagging along, following her around. It's invariably been pushed away by its mother, and it's now sought out the comfort of a group of rhinos, being social animals. All right, we're going to spend a bit of time with these rhinos and see what they get up to. In the meantime, though, let's go have a look at a herd of zebra. Good afternoon and welcome live to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi sands. Hello everybody, it is a very nice 29 degrees Celsius. My name is Steve Falconbridge, joined by Niels on camera. We are very excited to have you with us. Please, if you have questions, comments, send them through to us on #WildEarth or throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. If there are any kids out there, please get your folks to send through any questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now, we've got a little herd of zebras here that's slowly sauntering down to the water to drink. They're taking it very, very slowly. I think they can smell that the lions were nearby last night. I'm just going to edge up slowly up ahead here, see if we can go and get them closer to the water's edge. Now, let's move up there, because they were in the open for us nicely a moment ago. And obviously now they've all gone down to the water. So let's just pop our nose down there, see if we can get them having a little drink. It is a lovely afternoon. It'll be a good afternoon to check watering holes. Elephants, buffalo, zebra will all be coming down to have a drink. Shem, hello safarians, let's ride, she says. Well, we're very excited to have you on board. We're here at Vuetela watering hole, and the zebras are hiding behind the wall there. So let's just see if we can poke our nose around the corner here and get them drinking. Okay, one little shot over there of them having a drink. You got them, Niels. They're a little bit skittish.
definitely smells of leopard and lion in the air are giving the zebras a hard time, but Trish has found some animals who are nowhere near as skittish as these zebras.
Good afternoon, everyone. Steve is absolutely right. All of the animals will be looking for some water, and these wonderful elephants have actually come from a water source, a dam nearby. And now they're all getting a bit of a snack. Can you hear that sound? Breaking branches, stripping leaves. You can see there's a little one in there too. Still trying to use its trunk properly. Too cute. What an awesome start to today's safari. My name is Trishal and I've got BK on camera this afternoon. Quite a warm afternoon indeed. 29 degrees Celsius, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's exactly why they will all be looking for a spot of water, a spot of shade to cool down. Now they're actually dipping down into our dry riverbed, the Mulwati, where it'll be a lot shadier and where there'll also be some nice vegetation. As you can see, we are surrounded. Look at that. Can you see what the elephant is doing? It's pulling off the grass, and then they kind of hit it against themselves to get the sand off, and then they eat it. Awesome. Hi, Lauren. You're 5 years old, and you'd like to know how much does a baby elephant weigh? Well, could you believe that when a baby elephant is born, it weighs much more than you and I, Lauren. It weighs about 100 kgs. Between 80 to 120 kgs when it's born. That is a lot. A fully grown male can be up to 6 tons. A fully grown female, about 4 tons. Tons mean thousands. That's 4,000 kgs and 6,000 kgs. Did you see that? For that moment, they all went a little bit quiet, and that's because they're talking to each other at a frequency that we can't hear. We call that infrasonic. So it's below our threshold of hearing. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I love elephants. Big, grey, beautiful giants. I'm going to send you over to some other grey creatures at Phinda while I dip down into the Mulwati.
Welcome back, everyone. We're still with our big group of rhinos and just talking about the communication between elephants with Trish over at Djuma. It was pretty clear that communication that those two white rhino cows gave each other. The one was obviously very kind of unimpressed by having that other cow so close to her. But see how now they've kind of spread out a little bit and now they're peacefully grazing. And look at how the two parties have kind of separated a little bit. The one cow with her little one on the far left, and then the other cow with her own calf, and then that satellite calf over to the right. See how they've all got their heads down, busy feeding. Those ears rotating all over the place, busy listening very carefully. And I'm sure you can hear the wind blowing in the background. It's incredibly windy here. And so these rhinos are having to really strain their hearing to be able to hear what's going on around them, listening out for sounds of other rhinos or potential dangers. Just super awesome. And I think these rhinos are going to carry on heading down this hillside in search of some more grazing. Okay, here we go everybody, sorry. Wonderful to have all of you on board that are watching on the internet. So how amazing is this, everyone, all these rhinos together? For those of you who watched this morning, or if you didn't watch this morning, I would highly recommend going back and having a look at the awesome little interaction we had between a female cheetah and a herd of zebra. And as she ran into the herd of zebra, kind of just playing, testing out her, or just, I suppose, getting a bit of a leg stretch more than anything, she actually panicked the zebra to the extent that the zebra started to stampede, and their panic caused a group of rhinos to panic as well. And we're in a very similar area to where that happened, so I wonder if these aren't the same 5 white rhinos. Obviously with this particular area we've been seeing lots of zebras and rhinos. Okay, we're gonna, I think, stick for a bit longer with these rhinos. I'm quite keen to see what happens. Maybe there's some more interactions between the 2 cows. Look at how the 2 groups are kind of separating now. That one particularly grumpy cow. Welcome back everybody to your very own live safari. We are still with this group of rhino here at andBeyond Phinda, and we're just watching the little bits of interactions going on between the 2 cows and even between the youngsters. And remember earlier I mentioned that with this wind these rhinos are going to be straining their ears to listen out for any sounds around them. Of course, with those ears being so big and their eyes being so small, their hearing is one of the senses that they really depend on. And so the wind often makes them a little bit nervous. Shirley, you're asking if white rhinos and black rhinos will share the same territory. And Shirley, because they feed on different things and they don't compete for mates, obviously, because they're 2 different species, they will share territory. So with the white rhino feeding mainly on grass, the black rhino feeding mainly on twigs and leaves, they don't compete for the same food. And so they do often have overlapping territories and they do not compete with one another. And often, well, especially in areas like this, we're incredibly fortunate to have both species of rhino. And every now and then we do get to see the 2 species together. Okay, we're going to leave these rhinos, everybody, and continue in our search for that mother cheetah and her 2 youngsters. In the meantime, though, let's go and have a look at a completely different scene in a different part of South Africa.
Good afternoon, everyone, from I'm not even going to joke here. This is a cold Kalahari at Tswalu. And Genre on camera, and my name is Dylan. For those of you who haven't met us yet, it is brilliant having you all with us, even in these cold conditions. And I hope you're all, wherever you may be in the world, that you tucked up, snug as a bug in a rug somewhere. And it's great having you along. So as you can see, look at that cold front moving in, that massive cold front that's been coming in. This is pushed up right from the South Atlantic, right across the interior of South Africa, and it's hit us properly as of last night. Our temperatures went down to about -3, -4 this morning, with even colder temperatures forecast for tomorrow morning. We're going to go down to about between -7, -8 in the early hours of the morning. Well, that's going to be between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. By 8 o'clock it should still be -3 tomorrow. So that's pretty chilly by our standards. But it's just absolutely beautiful.
And that is exactly what, or exactly the opposite of what these elephants are trying to do. Now we're down here in our dry riverbed, the Mulwati. And you can see there's so many. It's awesome. Look at this little one in the right corner, bottom right corner of your screen. This is a breeding herd, so it's a herd of females and their offspring. So the little ones have lots of similarly aged friends to play with. And that's very important for the development of all mammals. Rosalind, you'd like to know, what does it mean when an elephant trumpets? I've found that when elephants trumpet, it usually means that they are very alert, or they've been alerted by something. Sometimes they may just get scared. Maybe they suddenly see your vehicle and they didn't expect you. And then they'll trumpet. If they have a bull chasing them, and he's getting too close and they don't like it, then they'll trumpet. It definitely means that somehow they're stressed. They don't trumpet out of joy. And you'll find that little ones like this, they'll make quite a screechy trumpet, especially when they're trying to nurse from their mums, and their mums are trying to wean them, and they're not getting milk, and then they can put up quite a fight. Very noisy. Now I actually left a gap on my right, just in case they wanted to go past me, but it looks like they don't want to go past me. So I'm going to see if I can get a better view for you guys, but there are more elephants around at Pridelands. Let's go and see.
So this is quite a good view of an elephant, very, very close to us. It's a young bull showing off how much grass he can eat, as well as all other things, I suppose. It's a beautiful elephant using the shade of this sparse tree to keep cool on this nice hot winter's day. Welcome everyone. I'm Michael Anderson. Behind the camera it is Hare, as always, and we are going to be showing you around Eco-Training Pridelands Conservancy to find whatever we can this afternoon. Absolutely beautiful afternoon, nice and windy, but still quite warm. And we'll see how the wind affects how the animals behave this afternoon. These elephants don't seem to be too bothered by it. They are slowly feeding. It's a large group of bulls. This is just two of them that are right at the back, but there are at least 4 or 5 other bulls that are further ahead that we were going to try and catch up with until these two showed themselves to us. All of them are fairly young bulls. I would say these are probably in the region in their 20s, somewhere early 20s most likely. Not yet fully grown, and so they are following some larger bulls, learning some manners from those larger bulls. Learning how to be elephants. What is it to be an elephant? Most young men need a mentor. So it's the same for elephants. If they just wandered around on their own the whole time, they'd probably do all sorts of inappropriate things. So having the older bulls with them helps them to behave themselves. And these ones look like they've been in water recently. That one you can just see it's got dark on his legs. So that's probably where he waded into the water. It's a bit chilly in the evenings and the morning. So I probably didn't want to go all the way in. So we're just going to watch these elephants and see what they do.
Oh, thanks, Mike. It is wonderful spending hours on end with elephants. We've given our zebras a huge amount of space. They had a quick drink. And you're back live with us at Djuma, everybody. And the Sabi Sands and this little dazzle of zebras. It's the collective name for a group of zebras, everybody, if you've never heard it before. Dazzling in the fact that the stripes are meant to help them blend into each other. There's almost an optical illusion created by those stripes, which you might not notice when they're in small groups. But when a baby stands next to mum, legs are the same length, body the same height from the ground, and those stripes blend the animal in, so it almost fades away. And the larger those groups are, the more dazzling that effect becomes. And it's kind of designed as a means of defense being lost in the crowd as you were. But those massive groups of zebra we've seen in the migration, and those massive big herds up there, hundreds of thousands of animals, they're all broken down into small family units of a stallion with his ladies. And then the ladies have their offspring. It looks like they've gone just behind the hill. We've given them, just give it a little bit more space here. You got him, Niels? There we go, on the left. Dove, how big can a zebra get? I think the heaviest a male zebra can get is about 350 kilograms, which is pretty big, pretty heavy. Aren't they wonderful? They're moving very slowly. They're moving away from the water slowly. They move to the water slowly in that sort of point-style fashion that animals will do, that people do in the army. You walk with one person in the front. That's the most dangerous place. You'll see zebras walking slowly, stopping, slowly stopping. Their biggest threat is lion. And the lions were around last night. And I think these guys got a bit of a fright. We heard them shouting in the evening, and it's possible that even one of their members might have been caught. Large pride doesn't take long to eat a zebra, but they're heading away to go get something to eat.
So we've just got this little herd of springbuck that are hunkering down. I don't want to say out of the wind, because they actually slap bang in this open area. But certainly by getting a little bit lower, there's a lot less air movement at ground level than there is when they're standing up. And they're obviously ruminating as well, so they're chewing the cud there. And that's just what ruminants need to do in order to get their food broken down properly. But they do definitely get benefit by being lower down in terms of average wind speed. Will be slower, so they'll be fractionally warmer. You get a little bit of radiation, heat radiating off the ground over there. But it really is I've got to tell you all something. Just now. So what we had earlier was really incredible. For the past couple of weeks, I've been searching all over for African wildcat. We haven't seen one yet. We've seen signs of them, but no actual sighting. So 10 minutes after the close of our game drive this morning, we get a call from Veronique, the meerkat habitué. She says, here's an African wildcat lying at the meerkat burrows. Not the rock stars, not the group that we were with this morning. This is another group of meerkat. We got lots of different groups of meerkats. This was at a completely different burrow system. We get there. Trisbob, here's an African wildcat lying, waiting at the entrance of the burrows. So we sit there for 10-15 minutes watching this wildcat. Next thing, he gets up, darts around, and I think, well, he's just going to run off. He makes a little loop down under the burrow, and then next thing, he dashes in straight down one of those burrows, like into the entrance, and there's sand flying. He tried to grab a meerkat there. He wasn't successful, didn't come right with it. But I was so bleak, because I was hoping that that's the kind of sighting I want to get for you while you're with us on these live safaris. Anyway, these things happen for a reason, I guess. So we're going to continue down past the springbuck now down to that same burrow system, and we're just going to ferret around there. Maybe we're lucky with that wildcat. If not, we'll keep checking other burrow systems, because this kind of weather is ideal for African wildcats to hunt, and caracal and jackals to hunt around these little burrows. So yeah, if we're sharp and we keep our wits about us, maybe we'll be very, very lucky. But what a beautiful afternoon, eh? Even with this cold temperature, even with the wind, it's just good being out here and being able to share this with all of you.
Look at this. Magnificent. She's definitely one of the larger females in the herd. Herds are led by matriarchs, which are generally the oldest and most experienced females in the herd, and therefore also quite large. Wow, did you hear that? When an elephant is hungry, you definitely don't want to get in the way. The strength is just unbelievable. Look at all the way there. Hi, Joshua. You're 4 years old. Thank you so much for asking your question. You'd like to know, why do elephants have trunks? Well, the trunk is a really important and very useful limb or appendage. So you know how we have hands and fingers so we can pick things very easily? Well, they're walking on all their limbs, so they can't use fingers or hands and feet to do much else except walk and dig. So this trunk actually has two little finger-like protrusions, so they're like two fingers at the end of it, and that's how they can pick grass and pick leaves. Look at that. So they can use it almost like an arm, how we use our arm, and that would be very, very important when you only want to eat the best of the best. Now that one wants to join the rest of the herd that's moved across the dry riverbed. I love spending time with elephants. They're very, very peaceful. And when they're not upset with you and they're very comfortable with you, I think that's a nice compliment. If they were upset with us, you'd see some very typical behavior. You'd see their tails kind of lifting up and very straight and rigid. They would come towards us, they'd lift up their heads and make themselves appear very big. They'd push out their ears, again, to intimidate us and make themselves look very large. And they'd shake their big heads at us. And you can see that they're doing none of that, so they're very comfortable with our presence. And they're far more interested in having a good snack after their swim. A wonderful sighting.
Welcome back, everybody. So we've been driving through these open grasslands trying to find any sign of this female cheetah and her two cubs. We left them somewhere off in front of me here about maybe 7 o'clock this morning, and it seemed like the mother was intent on hunting, and she would have come down into this dry riverbed looking for something maybe like an impala or a grey duiker. And while we've been driving through this riverbed, we've found this beautiful plant. Have a look at these wonderful red flowers. Now, some of you, especially if you're South African, may be quite familiar with this flower. It's called a Cape honeysuckle. And It's quite a common plant around the eastern parts of South Africa. And have a look at these beautiful long red flowers. And in these flowers, there's, pardon me, a little bit of nectar that the flower produces in here. And just the shape of this flower, look at how it's kind of recurved, almost like a banana. And it's perfectly shaped to match the bill of a sunbird. And that is one of the main pollinators of this Cape honeysuckle. So the little sunbirds will be attracted by the nectar. They'll land on the branch and then they'll stick their bill into the flower to feed on the nectar. And when they do that, they'll have their forehead pressed up against these little parts of the plant here, and they'll gather the pollen onto their forehead, fly to the next little bush, and then pollinate it. Now, as I said, for those of you that live in South Africa that are looking for a plant to grow in your garden that will attract birds like sunbirds, this is a fantastic option. It tends to grow very well both in sunlight as well as in semi-shade, and it's also pretty wind resistant, drought resistant. Frost doesn't do so well with frost, so you might need to give a bit of a frost preventative, or maybe do some frost preventative measures around it. Aussie lady, you say it's absolutely beautiful. I definitely agree with you. It is very striking, this orange and red against the green of the bush. And with that, we're going to leave this beautiful Cape honeysuckle and we're going to go see if we can find any sign of that mother cheetah.
Now this little one is quite interested in us. You'll find that the youngsters are much more interested in us than the older, more experienced elephants are, and that's because they're very curious. And while the older ones will know the vehicle and have experienced the vehicle, they know it's not a threat and they know exactly what it is. As in, it's a hunk of metal that doesn't do anything to them. Hello. Hello. This is what do they look like when they're curious, they're not sure what we are. Lovely. And those are the same type. That's a young boy. The young boys are always the slightly more mischievous ones. And then they give you that look and maybe even a shake, and then they scurry off, very scared. Sunset, you say you love the sound of them eating. Isn't it just special? There's the big girl. Hello, girl. I think this is the matriarch. She's quite old. And there you saw that head shake. She's just letting us know that I see you. I know you. I know. You see us. She is magnificent. The sounds are just beautiful. It's happening right now and live. Gorgeous. It's really nice to be able to show our SABC viewers just how magnificent these creatures are, and especially for them to experience a little head shake that this matriarch gave us as well. Listen to them as they walk through. Oh, love it. So surprisingly, they moved in and out of the Mawati very quickly, and I kind of expected them to cruise through it a little bit. But instead they went right over to the other side. Just beautiful. These elephants are keeping me here because I don't want to move while they're so close. And remember, if you have any questions about them, please use the hashtag WildEarth. Chat to us. Give us your questions and your comments. It's happening right now, live across many locations in South Africa, so that you can have the full experience of your very own safari from the comfort of your home. Oh, look at this little one. Donna, you'd like to know what makes the loudest sound in the bush. You thought it would be elephants. Elephants are very, very loud. Now, we spoke about the frequency, that they make very low frequency sounds, but frequency is not related to loudness. So something can be very low frequency and still be very, very loud. Like whale song can be very low frequency, but they can be extremely loud. The same thing for elephants, just that we can't hear that frequency. When they do want to shout, even though the frequency will be low, you can still hear it very loudly and for a long distance. Lions are also very, very loud. When they roar, gorgeous. Well, my elephants are a little bit quiet. I wonder if the elephants in Pridelands are as well behaved.
Our elephants are also pretty quiet and very, very calm. All these bulls seem to have worked out their grievances. They don't seem to be fighting with each other anymore. Earlier on there was a lot of tussling. They seem to have calmed right down. In fact, we were parked on the road, quite far from them, watching them come towards us, and then one elephant wanted to actually use the road, and before we had a chance to move, he just slid on next to us, moved a little sicklebush branch that was in his way, and just calmly walked straight past. So these ones are really calm and easy. You can see there's a little bit of dust fluttering in the air, so they're also dust bathing a little bit, getting some of the dust on their body. Some of the dust, especially that which is in the shade, might be nice and cool. So I throw it behind their ears. Oh, look at that, a big head shake. One of the other elephants came a bit too close. Didn't like that. Yeah, so they throw this cool dust behind their ears and all over their body, and it's often quite nice for them. Then they can go and scratch. And this one is showing us exactly how they clean off the little bits of dirt from the grass as they pluck it out the ground. Watch this. It'll use its trunk, the trunk, to wrap a piece of grass or a branch. Great. Yeah, go for the branch. Strip off all the branches, all the leaves, stuff it in his mouth. Oh, had enough of that one. Time to move on. It's amazing, all these elephants just walking straight along the road. It's much easier for them to walk on the road. There's no spiky thorns and branches. It's much, much easier. Sometimes vehicles in the way, as we were, but they didn't seem to mind too much. So calmly just moving on. These ones were at our waterhole earlier today. It's really nice to have all the elephants nearby to where we and our students are all the time. It's a really good opportunity for us to teach. You know, often these animals are so far away, but these ones come right up to us. And as you can see, very, very calm. So quite nice to have them around. Steph is asking how we can tell an age of an elephant. Well, Steph, that's a good question. So once they get large, when they get over their 40 years old sort of size, they become really huge and massive. Their tusks widen, their head gets very broad, their shoulders get a lot of weight. When they... Oh, this one's got a funny limp. Do you see that? See, I know this elephant. We're not sure what happened to him, whether it happened at birth or something else happened, but it's got one leg that doesn't seem to flex very well. It seems to be doing just fine, but look how it walks. You see that? It sort of walks with one leg a bit shorter. But anyway, it's easier to age young elephants because when they are... maybe I'm trying to follow these elephants just a little bit. When they are younger, maybe about 1 year old, they can fit under the mother's belly. At about 2 years old, they can no longer fit under the belly, but they don't have tusks yet. And generally at about 3 years old, you'll find little short tusks now starting to poke out. And then from there it gets a bit harder. Around about 15 or so, they'll get moved out of the herd. It's not so easy once they reach that age. Well, while we try and follow these elephants a little bit, we're going to send you over to Ngala.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to andBeyond Ngala. My name is Bunny, and I have got Owen behind me as a cameraman for the day. We started a little bit late because of the technicalities of the load shedding, and we have managed to find this young male leopard. We think that the mother and the sister might be in the area because they've got a small carcass up a tree behind us. At this moment in time, it looks quite flat. Looks like he's still digesting hard. We are going to hang around with him to see if we can be lucky enough to see him getting up and head back towards the tree for a little bit more feast. There is at least up to about 30% of that impala left. It was a female impala. But of course, in between the three of them, one female impala won't go a long way. GN, yeah, a cat for a change, eh? Doing what cats do best. Sleeping and doing absolutely nothing for the time being. But of course it was a hot day during the day today, and it's starting to cool off now. So we'll see how long it's going to take him before he decides to go get a little bit more out of that carcass. So we're going to stick around with this leopard and send you to Damon in the grass.
So from a leopard to a search for some cheetah. And before we get into this, everybody, if you are sensitive, I would advise that you look away now. We've managed to find the carcass of an impala ram, and have a look at the back here and how it's been eaten. We'll talk more about that in just a sec, though. I'd first like to show you a little bit closer to the head here. I don't know if you can see where I'm busy pointing my finger, but just down here at the throat, there's a big patch of wet fur where this impala would have been asphyxiated by looking at the state of the carcass, more than likely a cheetah. And so the cheetah would have chased this impala down, tripped him up, and then grabbed his throat and used those very powerful locking muscles on the sides of her face to lock her jaw and then strangle this impala to death. Now, have a look here at the back of the impala and see how it's all been eaten away very neatly. The bones are all still pretty much exactly in place. Very little of the bones have actually been eaten. And looking at the back here, both sides of the rump have also been fed on. And this is very typical behavior of how a cheetah will feed. So more than likely what would have happened is that if it is this mother cheetah that we're looking for with her two cubs, she would have grabbed a hold of the throat, killed it. She would have then kind of stood and panted for a bit, called to her youngsters. They would have come running, and they would have started to feed on the rump of the impala, the most nutritious part of this carcass first. And from there they would have worked their way along the back, the big back muscles down here, and then onto the shoulders of this impala. And illegal, you say it looks like I've made a kill. Illegal, I could not have done this. Like, to have been able to run an impala down like this would have required a lot of speed and a lot of strength, certainly more than I'm capable of. Can actually see a vulture now flying in from a distance. I wonder if it might fly over here a little bit later and spot this carcass, maybe come down and feed. But yeah, so there's quite a bit of meat. I think you'll agree. Look at how much meat has been eaten off of this carcass. So I don't think that it's just one cheetah that's done this. I've got a good feeling that it might be the mother cheetah with her 2 youngsters that we're looking for. And I don't think they would have gone too far from here. They would have had full bellies and they would have kind of waddled off. The sun's been quite intense today. Maybe gone to go lie in the shade of a bush not far from here. And so hopefully this is a good sign for us. We'll be able to actually find these cheetah in just a little bit. Look at how the flies have already started to gather around this impala. All these big blue bottle flies. All right, we're gonna go see if we can find these cheetah now for you. Hopefully, when you come back, we'll have them for you. Welcome back everyone, to everyone that's watching on the internet. So pretty exciting stuff, hey, that we've managed to find this carcass of this impala, and a good sign that this mother cheetah and her youngsters have been able to eat. If you joined us this morning, you will remember us saying that they did look like they could use a meal. So very exciting that they have managed to, well, again, surmising, just looking at how much meat has been eaten here, that it is that mother with her 2 youngsters. They've cleaned off quite a bit of this carcass left. So there's still a bit of the shoulder in the front here. There's the neck of the impala, and then some of the meat kind of around the diaphragm and even the internal organs. So lots of food here still for the vultures, as well as scavengers like jackals, hyenas. If a lion comes through here as well, it'll probably also come and feed.
So this leopard is just so this young male here has been rolling over, looks like he's feeling a little bit uncomfortable with his full belly in this long grass. And we've every now and again seen how much panting he's doing. And his ears are twitching hardly. It looks like there might be some flies that are bothering him. But the more of that happens, with flies bothering him, it might make him want to change the position completely. So he is around 15 months old, already same size, if not slightly bigger than the mother. And lately we've noticed that the mother herself, if she's not with them or on the carcass, she starts putting him and his sisters in 2 separate places. So because of the carcass, we think that the sister and the mother might be here, but right now we only see him. So it will be interesting to see how long it's gonna take, because they've got one thing that they all need to get to, which is that carcass behind us. So right now, his shady spot looks like it's a perfect place for him to be on. And he's just panting hard, taking deep breath every now and again. And good, there goes the ears again. There are some big flies that are bothering him here, but not only him, ourselves as well, that would possibly lead into him getting up. There's a little bit of breeze coming, which will help him a bit to get those flies away. And we're hoping hard for him to get up. So while we wait a little bit more with him to see what he's gonna do, we're gonna send you to Prrivate just to go see the elephants.
So we managed to get round onto a different road, and we found this group of bulls heading straight down the road towards us. What a pack. This is the boys are back in town. This is all the young bulls, eh? Strutting their stuff and showing off to the world. It's nice to see that our elephant who's got the short leg, he seems to be giving as good as he gets, which is great. He's right at the back of the pack, obviously, because he can't keep up so well. But he was tussling with them, having fun with them. It was good. It's good to see that he's not taking it lying down. See them at the back there. Watch. He pushes and he shoves with the best of them. It's great to see. The dynamics in elephant groups are always very interesting to watch. And, as even male elephants, we always see the mothers are very caring of the sisters and the youngsters, but even males, they form a bond. These young bulls will probably spend a lot of their life together. So, it's a bond that does grow. And it'll be wonderful to watch how that one with the shorter leg develops over time. Here's another young bull coming to investigate us. Hey there, chap. You are very cool. Still covered in mud from when he was at the waterhole earlier. That's so awesome. It never fails to fill me with awe when I see these animals so up close. Cindy says it was a wonderful parade. It was a wonderful parade. They were just walking down. When you see those movies or whatever, or series, when they show the whole crew like walking together slow-mo, it was kind of like that. It's like our crew. Oh, that one's missing a tusk. So yeah, it's amazing to watch. This group is always around. They always come together to the waterhole. They might split up for a time or two, but they always come back together. I wonder how many. I didn't really count. It was about 7 or 8 of them. Maybe 7. We'll call them the Magnificent 7 if there's 7 of them. Champions. This one here has got very, very white tusks. Obviously looking after his dental hygiene. The teeth are so important to the elephant. You see all those dry sticks that they're eating. That is not good for their teeth. And I'm sure that you've probably heard that elephants only have 7 sets of teeth their whole life. I think it's 7, maybe 6. 7, I think. And if they damage those teeth prematurely, that means they won't live as long as they could if they lived somewhere like the Okavango Delta, which is full of nice soft green reeds to feed on, or even in East Africa where they follow the rainfall and eat the softest grass. So if they eat too many of these dry sticks during the winter, it's not good for them. And I want them to live to ripe old ages. And then they've headed off into the sunset, or rather into the horizon. Right, well, what we're going to do is, whilst we watch these elephants move off behind us, we're going to send you over to a giraffe, peering over the trees.
Welcome back live to Djuma, everybody, where we found a beautiful male giraffe doing what they do best, staring at the camera. Eyelashes that most ladies, are very envious of. Natural eyelashes. You might ask, how on earth do you know it's a male? For those of you who are new to these sort of things, giraffe have got ossicones on the head, those sort of horn-like appendages, and the males have got very thick ossicones on the top and a little bit of a bald patch, whereas the females' ossicones are quite narrow and quite thin. The males actually use them for fighting. So that long neck, the evolution of these animals is to stand side by side. The males swing that long neck using their head as a hammer, and the more ossifications on the skull and the thicker set that the ossicones are, the more power behind the hammer there is. And it's one of the sort of evolutionary suggestions as to why a giraffe got long necks. But they are so, so pretty. Okay, well, we're going to stay here for a few moments longer with our wonderful giraffe and send you over to some other well-patterned animals.
Have a look at this, everybody. And just in the nick of time, we've managed to find this female cheetah lying under some guarri bushes, trying to get out the wind. Oh, look at how fat that tummy is. And let's watch where she goes, because she's got a surprise for us, everybody. Just as we suspected, it's the mother with the 2 little cubs. And there she's just going to go check up on them. They're also looking fat as ticks. And also hiding out behind that little quarry. It doesn't look like it's going to offer them much protection from this wind. But it's better than nothing, I suppose. So just like we said, she's maybe a couple 100 meters away from that dead impala. Giles, you're saying yay cheetah? Absolutely, Giles. And like I said, in the nick of time, we managed to find it. Look at that little cub walking underneath its mum's tummy, rubbing its back and its tail against her. So affectionate. And I think now this mother cheetah is going to want to get her little ones quite far away from that carcass. They've eaten their fill. And of course the smell of the blood and already those vultures flying around might start to attract scavengers like lions or hyenas in the coming darkness. And they'll all be potential threats to this mother and her little ones. So thanks so much for joining, everybody. We'll see you next time. If you'd like to continue watching, go over to our YouTube channel to see what these cheetah get up to. Welcome back, everybody. If you're watching on the internet, how exciting is this that we've been able to catch up with this mother cheetah and her youngsters yet again? And while I suppose it would have been quite fun to get to watch her stalk and chase that impala, I think we got to watch our chase this morning with that other female cheetah, but also good to know that she's got some food in her tummy. And I think, like I said, she's going to want to move away from this area just to keep her little ones and herself safe from any scavengers coming with the onset of darkness. So we're gonna stick with her and see where she ends up. So yeah, before she gets too far away, I'm gonna follow along behind her, everybody. There they go, down that little game path. So once again, please hold on tight while we're driving off-road. There could be aardvark burrows that the vehicle might fall into. So she'll be looking for a nice open patch. There's a couple of open, kind of flat soil surfaces. I wonder if she's not maybe going to go look for one of those little spots to rest on for the night. But while we try and catch up with her, let's go and have a look at a giraffe.
Thanks, Damon, and welcome back, everybody, to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, where we found a second giraffe. This one a little bit bigger than the other one. He's having a thorough cleaning session right now, staring at us, being very hospitable to those oxpeckers. Wonderful to see. I've been looking around to see what oxpeckers we've seen, and we've only seen some red-billed. Always very exciting when you do find the yellow-billed oxpeckers. Big boy. So everybody, welcome back to Djuma, and If you didn't meet me before, my name is Steve and joined by Niels on camera, and always excited to have all of you viewers with us. As you know, the questions and comments can come through on hashtag WildEarth, or put them in on the YouTube chat stream or Twitch if that is your preferred medium. This afternoon, I'm just doing a little bit of a bumble around, having a look at some of the roads I haven't looked at. I came in this morning, I found we tracked the lions to the south. It's possible they didn't go very far, so it'll be worth following up on the southern boundary a bit later on. He's very interested in something, isn't he? See how white they are behind the ears, everybody? We often talk about follow me signs in animals, and not many people really realize that the giraffe have got them as well, on the back of the head. When giraffes are walking, or when a giraffe is doing exactly what it's doing now, all the other giraffe are behind it, can go, ooh, where's he looking? And they know exactly where the giraffe is looking. So a giraffe that's doing that is always worth checking out. It's possible that he's just looking at the other giraffe that's there, or they're looking at a predator in the long grass. But it sounds like, or seems like, he's given up on that because someone else has found a leopard instead.
This boy has got hungry too quickly while he was lying in the shade panting, which is a great thing. He's now just climbed the tree, and you can see most of the carcass has been eaten, but at the moment he's just trying to pluck the fur off from the skin there to get to the flesh. And he's doing that to just avoid having a fur ball, because if he swallows too much of the fur, it might get stuck in the throat, which we'll all be witnesses that will be irritating. What amazes me about this cat, as it tries to take that fur off, is his balance. Look at how small the branches are that he's leaning on. And looking at how, as he plucked the fur off the most of the skin, which looks like it's right onto that impala's back, that leg is dangling so much that makes me think that there is a chance that if he tries to pull forward too hard, the skin that's holding the leg into the carcass at the moment will break, and then that might fall down. Which for him it will be a small loss, but if there was a hyena in the area, which I think there might be, I just haven't seen any, that will be a delicacy for the hyena. So if there is a hyena close by and that hits the ground, in a matter of seconds, that hyena will be right there. So it looks like he's having to work a little bit hard. See that again, they're splitting the fur off. Looks like he has to work a little bit hard to actually be able to get onto the flesh itself. So what would have happened is that when he was feeding, they were feeding mostly on the hindquarters of this impala. They've just opened it up from the stomach and dug in from the front. And then there's a skin at the back, on the back, and at the back of the impala, all of it is still left. And now, because of the way the carcass has been hosted, it has been bundled up, and a lot of skin is on the top, and the flesh is at the bottom. And looking at how well this impala has been hosted here, again a little bit of a ball spitting out, he definitely didn't host this carcass himself. He's not that experienced as yet. If this was his work, looking at the actual tree itself and the main stem as to how many branches are there, he would have struggled a little bit. But that this looks like is the mother's doing, because she is a very highly experienced female, and the way this carcass has been balanced up there in those branches, chances of falling is there, but it's very little. However, you know what youngsters do. He might feel a little bit energetic and try to pick it up, which might result into a disaster. See how much movement there is onto those legs as he pulls that skin higher up. Giles, they will not go out of their way to hunt for the next day or so, but predators are opportunistic, and sometimes they've got a very low success rate when they hunt, between 20 and 30%. So even as soon as they leave this carcass and move away, if they see a great opportunity that presents itself, they'll always go for it, because you never know. If you miss an opportunity, you never know when your next meal will be. So for them, it is advantageous to take every opportunity they can get, But sometimes they can go for a very long time. If they haven't had any good opportunities and they hunt and miss them, they can go easily for a week without any meal. So after a meal like this, they will be reasonably full for the next 2 days or so, but that will not stop them from catching anything else if there's anything on their way. Look at him, you can see he's young and he's got the energy for it. So it looks like he's going to be digging onto that skin for a while, still plucking the fur off. So while we wait to see how long it's going to take him before he gets into the flesh, we'll send you over to Damon at Phinda with another cat.
Welcome back, everyone. We're trying to keep up with this mother cheetah and her little ones. Oh dear, look at this little cub on the left. It seems to have lost... I'm wondering if it knows where Mum is. Mum is off to the right and its sibling is behind it. I don't think it noticed that... okay, it did. It's all good. Oh, I thought the cub was going to get lost. Oh, and look at the rhinos in the background, everybody. Look just above the cub. There's some white rhinos that might come to... Oh, they might come to investigate. How fantastic would that be? The wind is blowing straight from us towards them. And I've seen it happen before where white rhinos have smelt cheetah and they've actually come to investigate them. And obviously a cheetah is going to be no threat to a rhino, but maybe just a bit of curiosity being piqued in the rhinos by the smell of the cheetah. Wouldn't that be just fantastic if those rhinos came to investigate these cheetah? Have a look at this little cub though in the meantime. Sitting out here in the open. Look how the wind is blowing through that ruff of fur on its back. And of course when this cub was born, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a cheetah cub or maybe a photograph of a very small cheetah cub, but when they're born they've got this big ruff of pale hair that runs down their backs all the way from their neck all the way down to their rear. And just imagine how well that pale ruff of fur would help to camouflage them in long grass, make them less conspicuous, keep them safe from predators. And these cubs now at the age where they've lost most of that ruff, they've still got the bit of that scruff, that kind of longer hair around the scruff of their neck. Oh, listen, Shane, did you hear that? That very high-pitched calling. The one little sibling hasn't realized where its sibling has gone. Calling out for it, hasn't realized that it's sitting just on the other side of this clump of grass. Very high-pitched, almost like a bird-like chirp. There we go, going back to join mum and sibling. Oh, look at how fat that tummy is. There's a little African pipit flying above its head right now. Calling. Shame, probably had its own resting place disturbed by these cheetah. Look at that little cub's tail, how it's crooked. Very interested. Dizzy, you're saying that this is a very funny little cub. Very entertaining, Dizzy. I suppose cheetah cubs are always busy, always up to something. So there's the sibling, also smelling that same spot. I wonder if there isn't maybe some dung there, or maybe a wildebeest or a zebra. Maybe even another cheetah's scent mark. Okay, let's try for another view of these cheetah. Now that they've settled down on the other side of the grassy glade, we'll try and get around the other side to get a nice view of them. In the meantime though, let's go see what Dylan is up to.
Guys, a new species. We have a unicorn. A real live unicorn. Look at that. What a winner. So we've actually been following this oryx for about 400 meters. And he just kept on giving us the slip every single time we got near to him. So we caught him there by an absolute hair's breadth. What a winner that was. Geez, I was like, as we stopped there and he just started going behind the bushes, I was like, no, don't do this. So I'm really, really glad we got that. It has been a very quiet afternoon out here. No surprises. Even Veronique, we bumped into her earlier, saying she's hardly seen an animal. The meerkats, the rock stars, they down their burrows already. So it's just this biting cold that's just forcing animals out of the wind and that. So my plan, and it's a really dodgy plan I think, but we're just moving into the wind. And the reason why I want us to do that is that if animals are sheltering from the wind, they're going to be on the northern side of these bushes, which will be a little bit sheltered and in the sun and out of the wind. Anyway, I'm still trying to find a wildcat. We went past that burrow where we saw it. That sighting this morning was mind-blowing, and I just wish you could have seen it. So yes. Anyway, on that note, let me actually try to find some animal that's
Thanks, Dylan, and well done for finding a unicorn. That's quite incredible. We stayed with our male giraffe, who was staring at us for the longest time, and we figured out what he was looking at. And the direction he was looking at, there was actually a warthog that was sort of half out of its hole. And that caused the giraffe to be very interested. Giraffes have got great eyesight, so they'll stare and look at things, make up their mind about whether it's dangerous or not, and then move off to go and feed. And right now, it appears to be feeding on a torchwood that has been kept very short and very well groomed. The torchwoods, some of them we find out here are enormous, but for the most part in my guiding career, I haven't found many torchwoods that are very big. They're normally about this sort of size and kept in check by the browsers. They're very palatable. Excuse me. Very, very, very palatable. And some people might think, excuse me, giraffes are strange or weird. Indeed, they are a little bit strange, a little bit weird. That long face, the long tongue. Now, that long face enables it to get its lips right in there, as far in as it possibly can. And then that tongue is enormous. Prehensile tongue, prehensile lips, means it's able to use them both, almost like fingers, plucking at those leaves. And the eyes set quite far back on the head, because you can see some of those thorns. Those thorns are lethal. I walked into a bush this morning to do a little bit of a hide in the bush segment. I nearly poked my eye out. That was just with a little stick. But these thorns are lethal. They're designed to protect the plant. But you can clearly see this giraffe is not fussed at all by 3, 4, 5 inch long thorns. And the eyelashes that all the ladies are very envious of help to keep branches out of the eyes as well. They're quite stiff, almost like a solid brush, and they keep things from poking in the eye. Imagine the health and safety regulations behind being a giraffe that didn't have eyelashes. It would probably be a little bit awkward. Anyway, we're going back over to a leopard. It sounds like andBeyond and Ngala is having a wonderful afternoon.
So this boy has been feeding a bit on that carcass, and yeah, he did what we thought he was going to do. So he dropped that big piece of meat that looks like it was left. And as soon as he done that, we realized that was not actually the neck as we initially thought, that it was more the internal organs. And he's opened up in stomach content, trying hard to be careful and experienced about this, to just eat the covering out of the stomach content without getting to the contents itself. However, the one thing he's done is that stomach content has been opened up now, and immediately that happened, the amount of flies that we saw soaring down towards where he is quite great. And the thing is, with that, it means that that stomach content might travel. So I wouldn't be surprised. So I think there was no hyena on the spot or on the immediate vicinity. But with that has been opened up, there is a good chance that there will be a hyena here very shortly. Look at how careful he is when he eats that, trying to avoid getting to the contents themselves. What we think might have happened, looking at that, this impala didn't have the neck and the head, and one of the legs looks like it's missing. You might find that before the mother hosted this carcass up in the tree here, possibly last night to early hours of the morning, that there might have been a commotion with the hyenas. They might have stolen a piece already, which is what might explain why they disappeared in the first place. He is being very careful. He's always looking around. Looks like he's going to go up a tree. Look at that. Ooh, okay, he missed his step. Look at how quickly and agile he is as he goes back up there. So see that he looks like he wants to try and grab from the one angle, but his balance is not great where he is right now. So he might end up having to try from the top. We saw him earlier on trying that and it didn't work, but right now that angle that is going in is a little bit awkward. It doesn't look like he's got his balance right, but it looks like he's just gonna manage. Penelope, yeah, young animals are clumsy. They slowly but surely learn to be efficient and make things easier for themselves, but right now he's clumsy and there's a lot of branches where he is. But he's doing a great job. Look at the angle that he's just got himself on. It looks like he wants to get onto that leg. He's eyeing it out, but it doesn't look like he's far enough to reach. Then he goes for the tail. Look, he looks like he's going to end up dropping the whole thing here. Ooh. I think he's still figuring this balance thing out himself. Which part must he touch? See, just cut the tail of this impala, dropped it onto the ground. There's not that much meat on the tail itself. It's a lot of fur there. So, of course, after seeing him plucking most of the fur, he's thinking the same thing, I think, about the tail, having a lot of fur to give him a fur ball. It looks like he might even try to go for this leg that's dangling down. So he is trying everything he can. Look at that balance. Look at you. Look at how sharp that claw is as he hooks that leg of an impala. That's when you know that these retractable claws, they stay in and you don't see them that often. But looking at something like that and you see how big and sharp that claw is looking is actually quite scary. So that is going through a leg bone, as you can hear the crunch, but I think it's pulling too hard that the skin from the rest of this impala looks like it's about to tear. I don't know if he'll keep his balance or he'll be able to hold on to that leg that he's got now. Look at how carefully he's chewing. Look at how careful he is as he crunches those big bones to avoid swallowing one of those big bones to end up getting stuck into his throat. So he is being very, very gentle, which is a smart idea. The size of the bone is crunching on an impala, like a femur bone. It's not the biggest in the whole body, but it's quite a strong bone that it's impressive to actually see him breaking it down. But you can see how gently he is, how he's moving that bone right towards his cornicial shear, which is his strongest teeth, not the canines in front. And you can hear the crunch again. It makes me hungry. Look at this, and the angle he's sitting on right now, like how he balanced himself all over that branch, and it looks like he's just so comfortable the way he's sitting. I always say that leopards make... So we're gonna sit around here a little bit more and just see what he's gonna do from this angle and see if maybe hyenas will get attracted to the stomach contents and see what unfolds.
That sighting sounds amazing. Very cute, clumsy, and of course it's a leopard. What else could you ask for? I am definitely asking for a leopard this evening. And I had an owly feeling as well. Because it's so warm. Oh, Steenbokkie. Hello, cuteness. Hello, cuteness. Yes, we're looking at you. Did we scare you? It's a stare off. The Steenboks, so I'm actually on Zoe's road approaching via tele-access, and the Steenboks between here and quarantine have been so good and so relaxed. And it's been a pleasure because normally all you see of them is this I think they look quite chunky. Very small, but chunky, and I really like that. But you just see that kind of zooming past you. Now it's well hidden from us. So we've been really lucky. I think the closest I've ever come to a Steenbok ever in my life was on quarantine. When we drove past and the Steenbok was right there and was totally relaxed, which is awesome. Now it is hidden itself. So what I was saying is I was feeling a bit owly, and then because of the warmth, I thought that maybe an owl tonight would not be a bad shout. Maybe a chameleon, and then BK pointed out perhaps an owl with a chameleon in its talons. And then I thought, unfortunate, but I mean that would be pretty cool. Alright, well, I'm traveling very, very slowly and trying to make my way north, but I'll send you to something much quicker at Phinda.
Welcome back, everyone. It seems our mother cheetah has found a bit of a windbreak. Look at that big bunch of grass behind her. And look at how little the grass behind her is moving. Just shows you how effective it's currently being as
Sorry guys, back to me being pretty slow and not like the cheetah. I'm sure we'll get them back in no time. So I've decided to get up through Aubrey's and then come back south through Gallagher shortcut. I have checked the den a number of times today. No activity, and that just might be a result of the fact that there are more vehicles on the property, and we are pretty lucky, to be very honest, that Ribbon was denning at a time where it was very quiet, so she was very relaxed with us. And now there's a few more vehicles around, it's a little bit more busy, and I think that maybe she's not spending as much time as she would normally. So I think it's important to give her a bit of space as well. I know there might be some concern for the cubs if she doesn't visit them very often, but that's okay. Just like Corky's cub, that's okay. Cubs can go a number of days without being fed. In fact, about a week. And that's because the mums make up for that lengthy time that they're not at the den. They make up for that in an increase in nutrition of the milk, which is very interesting. So the less frequent their nursing, the more nutritious their milk will be. So I think We are all good. We just need to give them some space. Anyway, Steve has a friend for you of the feathery kind. Let's go see.
Thanks, Trish. From the long-faced giraffe, who we all think to be very beautiful, to a very long-nosed bird, the flying chili, also known as the southern red-billed hornbill. And this is actually quite a specialized feeding behavior, everybody. It's called leaf flitting, or leaf flicking, should I say, whereby the bird saves an enormous amount of energy, first of all by walking on the ground. There's no real effort in the foraging here. A little bit of walking. It's quite easy to do. And just turning the leaflet over. All the organic material that's accumulated from the grass, or maybe some animal droppings that's been deposited and spread out. And there we go, flicking it up like popcorn. And lots of insects are underneath that surface layer. And it's how the birds, many of the birds that spend time here and don't migrate, can survive. They're able to access food through this type of behavior. See many birds doing it. The hornbill is very noticeable with their beaks. Starlings will do it. Barbets as well. We see francolin and guinea fowl doing it. They generally use their feet to scratch. So a very useful strategy of saving energy and at the same time finding a lot of food. So looking for termites, ants, any insect larvae that might be in the ground. There's also grass seed as well as any seed from trees that might have fallen down. Beetle larvae. Wonderful to see. One of our very common birds. Megan, they are funny, aren't they? Especially when they do that. Hello, little fella. I love watching them run. There we go, just found another patch. Now, obviously, walking is a huge advantage. Flying, the energy required to fly all the time is enormous. And it means that your energy requirement increases. So that's why small birds that fly all the time, think of hummingbirds, for example, they have to have only highly nutrient-rich, energy-rich, sugar-like plants to keep up the sustainability of what they do. But if you walk around on the ground, like an ostrich or guinea fowl or francolin, yes, you give up your magnificent ability to fly, but you save enormous amounts of energy in walking. And life is all about energy conservation.
Got this magnificent sable bull, and when we found him, he was actually sheltering on this side of the bushes. He was feeding, but he was just standing out of the wind on this side. And one of our colleagues was just talking about energy saving in birds now. So this whole thing about standing out of the wind when it's cold like this, it's not because it's uncomfortable, but really it's just absolutely draining your energy. It's sapping your energy by standing in this cold wind. So you're burning through a lot more, you need to forage a lot more, and that's the reason why things like the meerkats disappear. That's why we're going to drive now and it's very quiet in terms of the small stuff. Even bird life has been very quiet this afternoon. So it's obviously less of a problem the larger you are. So this sable is probably a little bit uncomfortable, but it's not too bad for him. And he's just feeding happily there. But what a magnificent animal. I mean, I think they are certainly one of my favorites. But you can see how sharp those horns are. Yes, you don't want to be on the receiving end of one of those. If you're a lion, for that matter. We've never seen our wild dogs going for sable. Well, we've actually got one recorded instance. A single one. HP says, wow, those horns. And absolutely, those are proper weapons. They're not for display. But I was mentioning in my entire time at Tswalu, I've seen wild dogs on a Sable kill once, but the animal had actually been reported a couple of days prior to that with a very bad limp, what appeared to be a shoulder injury. So it could have been that the thing had died and the dogs found it like freshly, or it was kind of like on its last legs if it was limping, and the dogs caught it like that. But normally a bull like this would be out of the prey range of wild dogs. And yet we've seen them take adult camspuck, which is not much smaller than these, and as dangerous. So, but it's interesting watching the wild dogs hunt, and hopefully we'll see that over the coming weeks. We'll just keep our eyes open for them. But you'll often get them trotting straight past the animal that they can see is standing its ground, that's healthy, in good condition, and then they just go straight past. They're looking for easier prey. Now he's looking towards, we can actually pan over to the left. You'll see there's a beautiful weaver nest. And there's been a flurry of activity. The birds were just going in and out of there like crazy. You can actually still see what attracted attention. While we were on him, you could actually see him starting to look in that direction. So they're very, very, very in tune with the environment. Any sounds, anything that could be cause for alarm will draw their attention. But what an animal. I mean, that is just magnificent on every level. I'm really glad we found this for you.
So this boy has eventually managed to break that one leg away from the rest of the carcass, or the skin that's left behind. Of course, that's what he's nibbling at on the ground, because he struggled to keep that thing balanced when he was up there, and it dropped, and then he came down for it. It looks like he's learned a lot of life lessons today, as far as trying to balance himself up a tree, how to reach the carcass when it's dangling too far from the main stem. And right now, I think because he was lucky the first time with the stomach content and the hyenas are not here yet, actually it looks like that is something on the ground that I didn't see earlier. It looks like that impala's head. So it's nibbled on the head already. It looks like this was a young impala ram, looking at those tiny little horns that's still attached to the skull there. So it looks like it's just finishing off on every little bits and pieces of this carcass. He is becoming too casual about this on the ground. Of course, his locked out hyenas were not active yet, and it doesn't look like there's any close by. But this is not a great idea for him to get used to when he's got a full-on carcass still, because the amount of hyenas in this reserve is intense. And he's going to learn quickly, but he's going to lose a carcass or two if he gets into that habit of thinking that feeding on the ground is the safest place possible. So right now we don't see any of these hyenas. It doesn't look like he's getting much of the flesh left, even from that skull that he's trying to nibble on right now. But it looks like he knows that he might not be able to find food for the next day or so, so he's trying to get himself as full as he can with what he can get out of this. Looking at how every now and again he still looks back up. He looks like when he's done with that skull, he might climb back up for a little bit of skin and the two legs that are left up in the tree there. But yeah, the skull looks like it's a little bit of a struggle for him. Sarah, yeah, he's done well so far. He hasn't wasted anything at all, and it looks like he's still trying to keep up the good work of taking as much as possible, which is a smart idea from his side. Just so that if he moves away from here, at least he moves away with a full belly. So there is not that much really left out of this area. It makes me think that he will try and finish whatever he finishes, and he might hang around for a bit. Either the sister or the mother are close by, we don't know because we haven't seen them this afternoon, or he might eventually think of just going towards the water. If he sticks around onto the ground now that wind is picking up and hyenas might start smelling things from far, he might have visitors coming his way, in which case I think he's gonna go up a tree right away. Looks like he's struggling a little bit there with the balance of the skull. Of course, there is not that much surface for him to hold on it from, so this thing is going everywhere. But again, like I said earlier, this carcass for him, there will be a few lessons learned from him after this particular carcass walking away, and maybe next time he's going to do a better job, or he's going to try a different technique to what he's tried today. We saw him how he was struggling to get the carcass right. I was trying to break that leg open up in a tree, but he's eventually got it right, so next time it's possibly going to be quicker. Now, yeah, the only thing looks like he is struggling with the balance of the skull, but he's getting there. It looks like he's digging in from the top, possibly where the horns are. It looks like he might even be trying to crunch that skull to get to the brains of this impala. Did you hear that crunch, eh? Crunch. More eyelashes and his whiskers, both possibly quite long whiskers and eyelashes from his side, makes him look super, super beautiful. So what we'll do, we'll wait to see what he does when he finishes this. Looks like he's got a little bit of work to do still. And then we'll send you over to Steve in the meantime while we wait here to see what happens.
Well, it's wonderful to have leopards eating meat. They are just such awesome animals, aren't they? So now, there's not only meat that gets eaten out in the African wilderness, there's lots of other things that eat things. And one of those things is evident right where we stand. Now, where we are is an enormous disturbance that's taken place. You can probably see around me the ground looks like there's been a bulldozer at work here. Lots of digging, lots of movement, and you'll see how soft the sand is over here. It's been turned over, very, very easy to bury your hand in, and the entire surface area here has been broken up and changed. And we might wonder what on earth has happened here. Who has done this? What have they done and why? Well, the African savanna is a dynamic system which depends on disturbance. It is actually completely unstable. It's constantly changing, going from one stable state to another, constantly changing. And one of the animals that is designed for that and has evolved in this landscape is the elephant. And here we have got a very nice pile of elephant poo. And probably underneath that, we're going to find an ecosystem. No, there's not too much. There's some mycelium growth there as the elephant dung is decomposing. But an elephant got very busy here, probably more than one, digging and digging and digging. And essentially what they were looking for is the roots. Now, whatever tree it was that was here is gone. Almost the entire tree. I'll see if I can track it down. It shouldn't be hard to track down a tree sometimes. But if you watched this morning, we spoke about how elephants access bark and roots, and we talk about the hornbills having a specialized feeding behavior behind turning over the leaves, looking for organic material, looking for insects. Well, elephants just bulldoze their way through. They can get whatever they want, whenever they want. They don't actually do very badly when food is abundant, and they're able to access food when it's not so abundant. And one of the things they do is roots. There's enormous amounts of medicinal value in roots, enormous amount of nutrients, and well, the elephants are able to do that. So here they've done a disturbance, and as an example, where I just buried my hand there, you saw how soft it was. Now, just over here, right next door, I can't bury. That's as deep as I can go. Whereas over here, right in the mix where the elephant has been digging, oh, that's not actually that soft, but over here, that's much softer. So what the elephant has done is turned over the ground. It's active as a plow. Whatever tree was here before, it looks like it was one of the cassias. There's a little baby growing over here. So the tree hasn't been killed. Hasn't been killed, it's coppicing, which means the tree's been badly damaged. There's a few more coppices coming through there. It's been ripped up and destroyed and eaten, and devastation to the max. But what has actually happened is the disturbance. It's changed the dynamics. So whatever shade was here before has now been removed. The organic material has been turned over. The crust has been broken. Any grass seeds that land here, any tree seeds that land here will have a much better chance of germinating if they don't get found by a bird or someone who tries to eat them. So it's very, very important, these dynamic patches, because here there's huge disturbance. Next door, not so much. So that's what makes the diversity of this area so great. Okay, so next to us here is one of the cassias. There we go, there's the cassia. So some of you are wondering if I was able to get a firm answer on the dung this morning that I pictured. Well, we found the track of the animal that we thought had the poo. We found the size, we broke it open, and I was doubtful because it was full of grass. But I looked in my wonderful book, the scatologue, and the scatologue indicates that in a jackal track, there's often grass. So, who knew? I mean, I knew jackal can survive off almost anything, but who knew they physically just munched the grass? Well, there we go. We learn every day. I felt like it was a jackal poo, but to be honest, I've never spent much time poking my nose inside jackal poo. They often run along, there's their track, and they defecate on top of something prominent, as I mentioned this morning, and that was just a random one. Maybe he got a fright and he dropped one. You know, it happens. Happens to the best of us. Okay, well, we're going to head on north here. We're going to just go have a little look at Buffelshoek Dam and send you all the way over to the west, where I believe it's still relatively cold.
Go. They're going to run. Fuck. Talk. This has got to be one of my favorite antelope of the dense bushveld regions. Kudu. So these are kudu cows. The males have got the big spiral horns, but also they've been sheltering in this thicket. Look at that. In some ways, okay, we didn't see it too well there, unfortunately, but in some ways they're reminiscent of white-tailed deer. See, as they run, those of you from the States where they occur, white-tailed deer, as these antelope run, you'll see they actually flip their tail up, and you see that white tail underneath very, very, very distinctly. But look at that camouflage. Now suddenly you go there and there's nothing. But I'm really glad we got those. We're just going to pull forward a little bit. We may get another sighting just up ahead here on the right, but I don't know. But everything's just tucking themselves away now in this thick bush. So we are still on a cat mission. We are still looking for African wildcat, caracal, if we're really lucky, small spotted cat. That I would be off the charts happy if we got one of those. But we're not going to give up. Still a lot of ground to cover, a lot of areas to look in. So we're just quartering this area now, and just covering it nice and carefully. That's why we're going very, very, very slowly. We're looking on the sheltered side of the bushes, in the sun, out of the wind. This kudu crossed here. Yeah. Oh, sounds like someone's got a leopard. We'll carry on and you head over that way.
This boy, his patience paid off. He managed to eventually crack that skull, and it looks like he's managed to get to the brains. Now it looks like he's going through the nasal cavities, which is nice and soft. It's mostly cartilage, in particular because this impala was still young. And it just looks like he's on the edge of finishing up. I think for all that was in the head, he's done a great job of finishing that up. And I only think he can only do better from now. He was struggling a little bit, was going everywhere. He didn't know how to balance this thing. Maybe it's the first or second head is dealt with, but of course, two things will come on time. But he's done so well. There is not many bones left. It looks like only the jaw bones that are left, which those are big enough for him not to be able to chew on. That is some of the stuff that are going to have to be left out for the hyenas. And there is, of course, those tiny little horns made of keratin, which he would not even try, because even if you try to break them down, he might, but he won't be able to digest that, so it will be a waste of energy. And even hyenas won't be able to eat on that. If they, if they do, they won't be able to digest that either. They have to throw it out again as a furball, which is a waste of energy again, even from their side. However, the lucky hyena that might come through here today have got some few things that we might get. The jaw bones that this boy won't be able to chew, that leg bone on the ground, and of course, the most of the lining of that stomach content that he dropped down earlier on. So it won't be enough to completely fill up a hyena, but it will be something to kickstart the hyena's day. It's gonna be a happy hyena, or whichever hyena is gonna walk through this area will be happy. Can hear him still going on and on, crunching those bones. I think it's on the nasal cavities, and the amount of noise it makes is quite nice. The wind just it is a little bit scary. It's a good comparison in a horror movie, something I can't deal with. I can't watch that. I'm too scared. But this is kind of exciting. Right now, before the wind just changed, and all we got right onto our faces was the smell of that stomach content with the breeze that's just suddenly picked up. It's only going to be a matter of time for the hyenas to pick up that scent and come right in. So what we're gonna do, there is not much left to see here. We're gonna leave these guys and let him carry on finishing these bits and pieces. And we're gonna head to try and see if we can find anything else for you to see this afternoon, and we hand you over to Trishala for the time being.
You were seeing the tail end, pun intended, of this Ngala. There's a little baby with her. I'm going to try and move forward. Baby's just crossed the road. It's one of the smaller ones I have seen, and quite comfortable. Hello, little. Oh no, it's okay. Look at that behavior. A little bit scared, into the bushes where there's safety. And look at how well those markings work in this type of grass. Can you even tell that there's a little one in there? Only when it moves. There's Mom. This light is just gorgeous this time of day. And they seem very happy. Nope. So cute. So what I am doing is just kind of driving around this Gallego Pan area. Well, I told you Aubrey's Gallego, and I'm on the Pan Road, and just kind of stopping as I go and trying to get some cues from the bush as to where it would like me to go. Where I can go to to find us leopard, you know. Haven't heard alarm calls in a long time. I just saw a very dodgy looking duiker sneak past with its head very low. Let's just listen for a moment. You can still see the two Ngalas. They suddenly seemed a little bit alert once the duiker sneaked through. So you had the Franklins off to my right, and that's the direction that the Ngala has just turned to look in. Either that, or it knows how gorgeous it looks in this light, and I thought it would give us a bit of a head turn to the camera. I feel good about this area today. That's why I'm hanging out here. Please don't worry about my quietness. I've not forgotten that you're there. I'm just trying to listen because I'm hearing faint sounds. I feel like it's a vehicle. And I'm hearing. Isn't it eerily quiet? Peter, you say you agree this area looks great. It feels great too, Peter. I think this is the winner in this area. I have nothing to go on besides the fact that yes, it looks great, and I have a good feeling. Let's swing to the pan and see what's happening there. Lots of good feelings, slightly eerie feelings, but that's the way I like it, isn't it? A bit creepy but cool at the same time. All right, let me send you over to Steve and see how he's feeling this evening.
Always creepy and cool, Trish. Always creepy and cool. Now, you might wonder why I'm off the vehicle again. First of all, it's safe. I can see very far. But we talk about elephant dynamics. Elephants damaging trees, for example, here. These trees have been quite badly damaged here by elephant. They're coppicing out. But that's not the reason I stopped. The reason I stopped is that this area has been recently burnt. This is the Torchwood fire break. Torchwood behind us, Djuma that side. And fire is an enormous dynamic system in the savanna system. It is a process. It's a driver. Fire. Now, I don't know if you can see clearly there, Niels, but the grasses are growing out of the bottom of these stems. Everywhere around here, the grass is burnt. There are little bits of flush coming through. Now, where are we? We're in July. How on earth can grass be growing? Now, a management practice, and a practice that has actually gone back for millennia, they reckon. Hunter-gatherers used to live in these areas, used to burn deliberately fires in to safe, eliminate lion presence, and to attract animals. So people used to do this for a very long time. Mimic those old processes. We put fires in to eradicate old moribund grass and also to stimulate grazing. But when it comes to this is a fire break. This is directly determined and designed to protect against unnatural fires. So burning out of season is not ideal. If you do burn out of season, you want it to be a very big area, because what's going to happen? This area is going to attract all the animals. All the zebra wildebeest are going to come here. They're going to eat, they're going to eat, they're going to eat. And the grasses that are pushing out these little leaves here are now pushing reserves. So if you're running a marathon, they're putting your extra reserves to the end of the race right towards the beginning. So these grasses need to last and survive a bit longer. And what happens if they push out now and get eaten? They get hammered down and they lose vigor. And over time, that actually leads to overgrazing. It leads to species loss, and it leads to a decrease in the grass layer that would at one point obviously increase. So very interesting from elephants, driving force. Or we could call them an ecosystem engineer or keystone species. Fire is essential. Actually, you can see it by my feet, can't you? Much better here. And this green coming through. So you find zebras almost immediately on these areas after fire. We had a lot of tracks down the road here. They even come here before the green. So there's talk that they may be feeding on the ash The pot ash from the ash, we don't really know, but the zebras are through here feeding before you can even see any greenery. And it's very interesting, isn't it? Did you hear that? Oh. Sorry, my earpiece had moved out a bit and I heard Emma make a little squealing noise that I didn't quite hear. I was like, what's that? I've always got Emma over here in my ear. That's wonderful. So that's a very interesting thing, everybody. You can see a difference between here and over here. See, the grasses here are not green. There are some bits that are a little bit green, but they're not the same as over there. So grass is what we call basal growth. Those of you who've ever cut the lawn before, you'll know exactly what I mean by basal growth. If you cut your lawn too short, it goes yellow and it dies. If you cut it too long, well, it's too long, you have to cut it again. So grass grows from, you can see this little green shoot here, grows from the bottom, what we call basal growth. This is not the new growth up here. This is the old growth. This is the stuff that gets eaten. This is the stuff that falls over, that dies, it gets dry, the organic material adds to the soil. The grass is growing from the shoots at the bottom there. So when you cut it too short, you cut that off and it actually loses its ability to grow. Almost like cutting your fingernail out by the root. Very painful. And so that's why hippos and rhinos are fantastic, because they cut it down nice and short. Zebras as well, wildebeest and impala have the ability to overgraze. Okay, well, we're going to carry on heading up this road, see what other interesting ecological examples we can find for you.
So something caught our eye, bit of a glint right at ground level, and that while we were driving along and walking in closer, it's actually the remains of a porcupine. So I'm not having a huge amount of luck finding a live porcupine for you, so I'll take what I can get. But yeah, so who knows what killed us? It's not fresh. I will actually bring some calls a little bit closer to show you, because there's actually a really nice range of them here. But it's not fresh. The actual color of the calls is faded. But I want to get a couple of different ones so I can show you the variation in these calls. That's actually what I'm looking for there. Those are the ones. I'm also trying to find ones from the tail. The tail calls are quite interesting. Anyway, I don't see those, so watch you don't step on those. So what you got here, these are the dangerous ones. These are the ones that you sometimes see photographs embedded in of them embedded in lions, leopards. I've seen them on honey badgers. There's a crazy one doing the rounds on the internet of that meerkat impaled on porcupine calls. How that happens, I don't know, but it does apparently. Yeah, so you know, you get these short, thick ones that go underneath, and any animal that touches it, and this is still a short feeler call. They get twice this length, and anything that touches that, then the porcupine knows he's close enough and he reverses back. But that's if you really ignored every warning that the porcupine gives, because they stomp their feet and they make this beautiful rattling sound, this with the tail, these hollow calls on the tail. And if you've ignored all of that, then you really deserve to walk away with some calls embedded in you. My dog knows, she's had that twice already with porcupine, so that's quite interesting. And but I still need to find you a live porcupine. I owe you a live porcupine. Just there's a lot of things I still need to find. But we will continue, and we will not give up until we get these things. Sure, and no sign of the bones. I mean, you know, nothing's going to eat these calls, or very little. You might get the odd thing that will gnaw on them, but very, very little. But the actual carcass, all the meaty parts and the bones, those would have been carted off a long time ago. In fact, in many cases, even by other porcupines. No. I'm really sorry I didn't get the name there with my hearing and the mic, But the question is a really nice one, and I want to show you quickly, and I'll bring one right up to you there. The question was, Greek history has asked. Greek, thank you very much for that. The question was, do all the quills have the same pattern? Or are they all different? And I'll give you a really nice example here now. If you can just bear with me for 1 second. I want to show you all these different variations on them. And I mean, these are just some examples. Where's another one there? Okay. So, if you look at these, we think a porcupine's black and white. Done. Okay. But, I'll get it in the light there for you. Here is a quill that is snow white. Okay, there's no black on that. And then you get ones there's one that's pretty much half black and half white. And then you get the other ones, where are we? Like those that are kind of black and white, a nice mix of them. So very, very good question that. You can get quite a bit of variation in them. But when you're looking at the animal itself, this whole mix, one white quill or a couple of white quills will disappear into that mix, and the animal that you see is black and white. These quills are actually very, very faded. They've been yellowing in the sun for a long time, I'd guess, just judging by the color. It's kind of all this golden yellow color. But normally when you find them and they're fresh, they're beautiful black and white. These ones are actually also very brittle. They're just breaking up. But nice to see that. And like I say, just the glint on the ground is what caught our eye on that. It was something unusual. And with tracking, that's often what you look for. You just look for patterns. You look for things that are out of place. So when you're driving here, you can see nothing is glinting here, but suddenly there's a patch of something that glints. That's an obvious sign there's something going on there, and then you can go have a look at it. Yow, the temperature's dropping quickly now. Those of you, if you can join us tomorrow morning, you really must if we're out, because it's going to be entertaining if nothing else. It's going to be it's going to be really chilly, but that's fun. I've got another thing. Those of you who like eating Lindt chocolates, look at this beautiful Lindt ball I've just taken out my pocket. Do any of you know what this is? Apart from being a Lindt ball. You can do it. Take your time. Any guesses? Let me know. That's the only clue I'm giving you. Okay, there we go. I can show it to you nicely in the light. So while you're guessing, head over to a sunset.
From a solid round ball to the golden orb of the sun. I just thought we'd stop for a moment, and while we're hearing some birds calling, I'm just going to keep quiet for a few moments and allow you to absorb the sounds of the wilderness. Linda Poley says gorgeous. Indeed, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that little moment, but it seems as if there's some gorgeous lions in the light of andBeyond in Ngala.
So after this morning saying we were going to check the boundary, check the boundary nicely. There was no tracks of this pride. Later on they came across because they were a little bit on the edge of their territory. Walked halfway back into the property. Trackers just got them. And we're here now, and it looks like the timing is so great. You can see this lioness is starting to yawn. Majority of the pride's heads are already up, although they looks like they moved a little bit longer into sort of midday-ish. But it does look like they're going to move somewhere again. Already looking like they want to be up and about. We don't know what it is. That sounded like they killed on the other side, but yesterday morning sounded like they were feeding on something just slightly out of our boundary into our neighbors. Of course, being on the edge of their territory, they came right back in. And it looks like they're going to head back south deep into the center of the property. It's nice and windy, and the wind is coming from the west to the east. So with this wind, either they're going to head west or they're going to head directly south, so we'll see. All of the cubs are here, including the young male. I haven't seen the smallest cubs as yet. And also, I have not seen any of the Ross males. The smallest cubs, I wouldn't be surprised if they're here, because I think their mother is also here. But we just got here. They could still be lying in the long grass, or she could have left them somewhere. So we'll wait to see when they start getting up and getting to move, as they're busy grooming now, to see if we're going to have any luck with that. Because when we saw their tracks going out and hear them feeding yesterday, there were tracks of Hare that came back into the property, looking like she came back to fetch the cubs. And we don't know if she's already took them to the carcass there or not, but she is with the pride this afternoon, which is exciting. Lot of yawning and grooming all around. Monique, for sure, before they get going, they need a little bit of stretch. So lion yoga, it's a thing. Stretching like an athlete before they get going. So the more of that we see, the quicker we're possibly going to see them getting to get up and getting going. It is quite a beautiful part of the property where they are. On the way here, we didn't see many impalas, or any prey species, so they might have to cover some serious ground before they find their attempted hut. So we'll see how long it's going to take them, but I'm sure they know that at this time of the year how far they move. Ooh, that lioness looks like something caught her attention. Look at how she's put her head up and she's looking around. Let's watch her closely and see what her next move is gonna be. She looks like she slowly but surely lost interest, so it could have been anything really. It could be the movement of the bush that happened too quick, and she thought that something was moving there. Or she could have picked up a movement of some sort, but she realized it's not important. So we'll stick around with these lines and see what they do, and we're going to send you back to Tswalu Kalahari.
So the reason we're moving down this particular valley over here is it's a really good area for aardwolf. And then our mission for African wildcats and caracal, we are not giving up, not stopping. What you got, Chandra? Jandre thought he was wrong, but he was wrong. So we're just going to have a quick look here. Wait, must I go backwards, forwards? Whoa. Shall I go back a little bit? What's it at the base of that bush there, in the shade? Is it just some more? Ah, definitely more bush. We'll never make a mistake like that. Yeah, so these... these June crests are good to keep scanning while we, you get cheetah lying up. Although I think any cheetah in its right mind is not going to be lying up on a June crest in this weather, that's for sure. But have we got any guesses on the ball? The little magic. Aussie lady asks, is it a seed? It's not a seed, but good call. Tasty. Oh, Laura Moore says a petrified golf ball. Definitely not. And look how beautifully rounded that is. Marisha has hit the nail on the head. It is a dung beetle lava ball. Well done. This one is bone dry. There's nothing going on. We actually found it lying exposed on top of the sand on a sand dune. So this one will be completely, nothing's going to happen with this. There's not going to be any lava hatching out of this or anything. But just so nice to see that, and really, and this is still a small one. Down in where our colleagues who are working in the low veld, you get really big ones. So, but it's just nice to see that. And we use it as a level to see when the Land Rover is about to capsize. We can use it as a level. You see there, now we know we're standing at an angle. You see how important it is to have these things on your vehicles at all times. but Cindy says, so it's not chocolate. Yeah, no, it's not chocolate, but we can eat. Jandre is a vegan, he'll eat that, I think. Will you? Yeah, he says yeah. Come, we need some eyes. I hope you're all looking hard because we need extra eyes, because I'm not doing a very good job at the moment of finding wildcats or caracal aardvolf. So if any of you that are with us sitting at home, tucked up on your couches or your beds with something hot to drink, if you see something that resembles a cat of any size, please feel free to let us know. I'd be very grateful. And not your house cats at home. I'm looking for something out here specifically. I still can't believe we had that sighting this morning. 10 minutes after drive closed. And it's like an incredibly good sighting. But that doesn't count, unfortunately. But what a beautiful afternoon, eh? Yeah. Nothing wrong with a good Kalahari afternoon. Thank you for all of those of you that are looking hard for us. I really appreciate it. I just wish you could all be here in person, eh? One day when I'm big. But it's good to be able to, have you along on these safaris. And I mean, I know our colleagues are enjoying it as well. And it's something very special to be able to share what we enjoy with other people.
So a little bit more activity has been happening. Some individuals are coming right at us for their quick bathroom break before they get up and move on with their day. I hope we're not downwind to that, because that's not going to smell good at all. But at least she looks like she's enjoying herself. And if you look further back to where the rest of them are, all they do is yawning and getting up as well. They look like they're ready to go already. So we are looking forward to their movement to see which way they're going to take us and what we're going to find. We're going to join the lions on their territorial patrol or their hunt if they find anything to hunt this afternoon, and see how successful that will be. So you see every single one of them, they get up, take a few steps, go to the bathroom, lie down again. Whatever it is that they killed on the other side must have been big, because they all look like they are full-bedded. Look at that female that just stood up. That is the mother of the young cubs. You can see, I don't know if you remember her scars from the side, but you can also see that she's lactating. She looks like she's the one leading the way. She is up and about, and everybody looks like they're gonna follow. Maybe she's taking them to head on the direction of where she last left those cubs. The young male and the rest of the other cubs are looking up like they're not ready, but all the adult females look like they're ready. Yeah, I agree 100%. These lions are looking in great condition. As much as they move long distances, they still look in such good condition, because every now and again they manage to kill something. So they are in good condition still. And what we're gonna do now, because it looks like they might go, we're gonna try and start and loop around to get you a better view before they start moving too far, because we're thinking that they might move into some thicker bush. So we're gonna just loop around quickly. Hey. Was the call also off? Oh, you're ringing. Cool. So we're coming to the front of the group. I hear the mother of the young cub sounded like she was contact calling. So I don't know if that contact call was for the cubs or it was for the rest of the pride, but we're gonna sit around and just see what she has to say. But look at how beautiful she's looking. For somebody who's got small cubs that are nesting, she's in seriously good shape. Look at the young cubs coming and walking towards the mothers, and also greeting the mothers as they walk along, which is such an important thing for them to do. Some of these good things that they do now, the grooming, rubbing of heads, it's what keeps them, their bond strong, and it's what makes them want to stay together even after a serious fight. So you can see they're all grooming properly, some rubbing each other's heads, and looks like they're about to move. Goes the way again.
Okay, just sorry, apologies, we lost one of our colleagues there, the mic bombed out there, but we've got a secretary bird, and he's doing a bit of a jig on top of that tree there, so I don't know what's going on there, but this is such a good sighting, and I just want to say it was Jandre that spotted this, not me. There it goes, just flying off there. I have no idea what it was actually doing on that tree. It's that particular tree that it was on is not the ideal one for a nesting thing, and they're actually not quite in the nesting season yet anyway. But wow, good spotting there, Jandre, and so nice to see that bird out here. It's a fascinating species, and it also highlights the challenges that reserves have globally. I'm not talking about swallows specifically here, but globally, where you can conserve, okay, so you got an enclosed area. It doesn't matter how big it is or how small it is. Whatever's inside there, fine. Okay. Well, what do you do about affording protection to species that don't recognize any kind of boundary? Whether it's a fenced-in area or a provincial boundary, a national and international boundary. Yeah, these birds go wherever they want. We've got other species here like corrie bustards, these really big, I mean, they stand this high, big birds, and they can cover massive distances. They're also moving in and out of these reserves all the time. Vultures, you know, there's so many records in certain areas of vultures being poisoned. Well, and these are outside reserves, outside of protected areas. So it becomes a very, very challenging thing from a conservation perspective. Salmon. British Columbia, now there's a lot of problems up in those areas with salmon and for various reasons. Wolves moving in out of reserves. It doesn't matter where you go in the world. You know, when you see a species like this, I always get really excited because it's, you know, that bird has come a long way potentially to end up where it is here, and it's just always a privilege seeing them. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to think about in conservation. You know, and our guiding should be a direct link between hospitality, tourism, and conservation. HP says they got an amazing wingspan. Those birds are huge. That's over a 2-meter wingspan. They are very, very, very big birds. And it's lovely to see them flying because like normally you just get them like stalking around the landscape looking for things. And they eat a lot of, you know, they Sagittarius, they serpent catching birds, so they go for a lot of snakes, but they'll also catch a lot of agamas, these lizards. They're super quick. We've actually seen, Genre and I've seen one or two, and so they'll catch a lot of those, but that's, you just normally typically see them moving or walking around landscapes like this, so to see them flying is really fun. I'm still curious as to what that bird was doing up on top of that tree. Their nests for a bird that size are incredibly well camouflaged, so they're normally on the crown of a tree and just underneath the actual top of the tree, so they're very, very difficult to find.
It is the impala's time to shine. I mostly love to watch them, apart from the fact that they're beautiful, especially when the sun is beating down on them and they're nice and shiny. But at this time of night, they can be great indicators. The sun is now set. It's getting darker. Maybe they smell or see or hear something that I don't. It's always nice to watch them. Now, we had a very brief discussion about pausing pregnancy a couple drives ago. And I thought it was really, well, all I did was really mention it to you that it is possible. But it's only possible at the blastocyst stage of pregnancy. That's before the blastocyst has actually embedded into the uterine lining. So that's when the fetus will start to develop. And you know, we always hear these myths about how impala can hold it in, and certainly they can't once a fetus starts to develop. But at an earlier stage, it is possible. In fact, many mammals do this. It's called embryonic diapause. And it can be paused even up to a year in certain animals. And a delay can be triggered by condition or health, environmental factors, temperature, and other things like that. And it's actually governed by an enzyme called mTOR. mTOR basically is what your body uses as a gauge to say, oh, there's enough nutrients for cell development, cell growth, which obviously you'd need if you had something growing inside of you, which you'd need a lot of cells in order to grow a fetus. And if mTOR, that enzyme, drops in the body, then, and a pregnant individual is in the blastocyst stage of pregnancy, then it can be paused. mTOR would drop if there's a drop in nutrients and conditions are bad. I think that's pretty cool. Sometimes a fact is even stranger than fiction. A lot of you are saying that's quite interesting. It is. It certainly is. I love how the more time you spend out here and the more research that you do, we can really expand on what we know about these animals and all the finer details. Very cool. Well, they all seem to have their heads down without an issue. No one giving me any alarm calls. No, they're very, very chilled. Well, at Tswalu, things are chilled too.
He's going to lie down there. I'll just go back. We've just got such an amazing sighting, I want to go back a little bit and you're going to see what it is. It's just behind the bushes here. This is brilliant. Keep watching. Don't go anywhere. Stay right where you are. Hold on to whatever you want to hold on to. Just give us a sec. There we go. Cape Fox. And this is the nicest sighting we've had so far. Oh, the downward dog. I want him to roll up into a ball. Come on. There you go. Tail around you. There. Yes, please. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. That is just the best. So these are true foxes, eh? This is a proper Vulpes. The genus Vulpes. So these are true foxes. And the other ones that we've seen, the little bat-eared foxes, are not. They're a completely different genus, totally different group. But this is my favorite when they lie like that, just curled up in a little ball with their nose inside their tail like that. That's what I wish I could be doing right now, apart from watching the fox. If I had a tail like it. But what a sighting, eh? And look at that camouflage as well. I mean, look at that. Yeah, look at that camouflage. When you go out like that. So this is the kind of distance now that a predator would be. That view that you're seeing there is if a cheetah was walking along the road where we are walking now, because cheetah will catch them sometimes, or leopard. That's what he'd have to be trying to pick up on. So I mean, that camouflage is absolutely brilliant. Oh my goodness, that is just the cutest thing ever. Oh, it was worthwhile coming down this road. Jeez. Little Cape Foxy wasn't even on my radar coming down there. So the trick would be now to try and find the den site. So these animals are so small, they can actually fit down the smallest of burrows, things like spring air burrows. Now, to give you some idea, if you hold your hand out, it's going to be obviously the average person's hand. If you hold your hand out and you spread your fingers wide, if you do that, roughly, that's the kind of entrance size of a spring air burrow, like ballpark figures. If you held your hand out in front of you, those foxes will often go down spring air burrows. They'll just boot out the occupants, they won't eat them, and they'll actually use those burrows for denning in. So that gives you some idea of just how small these foxes actually are. And we may have spoken about it before, I can't recall now, but these little guys are rodent specialists. Yeah, Amanda says she loves the ears. Those ears are just adorable. But I also love the way he's got his nose, or her nose. I can't see if it's a male or female from here. The way he's got it tucked into the tail there. And also like very alert. He's like, those little eyes are open. He's, keeping I don't know if he's keeping a beady eye on us or for any other potential danger that may be around. Ah, what a gorgeous afternoon. This is just like, oh, this is brilliant to see. I love seeing things like this, man. Anything out here is good. Absolutely anything and everything. Shinji has asked, are they related to the fennec fox? And I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure they are, but I do stand to correction on that, please. Okay, and I can check that up. If fennec fox is vulpes, and anyone that's sitting at home, if you want to use the Google machine, feel free. If the fennec fox is vulpes, the genus, then that would be related. Yes, this light out here now is just magnificent, and it's such a soft golden glow over the landscape. This little fox is going nowhere. He's got his little windbreak of a bush there. andBeyond says this little animal is a brand new species for him. And I'm so glad. You know, I love seeing anything. We can sit and look at a dove. You know, we can look at an elephant, we can look at oryx or impala, whatever it is. But to see these little things that are seen infrequently by people, I really get a huge amount of pleasure out of that. And this fox is just being nothing but obliging. I'm very chuffed about that. Oh, yeah, sorry, I got distracted on my train of thoughts earlier. I was mentioning that they are rodent specialists, so they will catch a lot of mice, and they're almost entirely their staple diet. Not completely, but almost.
Looks like they finally decided which direction they're gonna go, following the lead of the young female, which is the mother of the young cubs. So it looks like the direction she's trying to take them towards might be where she's left the cubs, because they're definitely not here. So the 5 adult lionesses have already gone past us. Mostly we're just gonna hang around at the back and wait for all the other sub-adults to come our way. Also including the young male who is still sitting further back. Just for the viewers, you're not to worry about your screen changing to black and white. We've just moved into infrared because we're slowly but surely using the light and trying to see these lines without really putting any light. So infrared is the way to go. So right now it will possibly be dark in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so, but we still have a little bit of light. So that lionesses looks like they're thinking hard as to which way we're going and what we're gonna get for the day. But it looks like it has finally been decided. Rubbing of heads again. Just reminding each other about how important it is to be family, so that if they do catch something small and start fighting, they don't have to not want to join up again. Look at how they're following a single file as they walk through that bush. Must be an old game path, which is a path of less resistance, where they are just moving, trying to avoid thorns and grass, and following the same path as the leader female has followed. So looking at the direction they're heading towards, I know this area quite well. They're heading towards a small drainage line. We'll try and see if we cannot catch up with them on the next road, which is not too far if they keep on heading west as they did. But if they carry on south, we might not be able to follow them, because there is long grass and rocky areas and drainage lines on the direction that they just headed towards. So as we turn around and try to drive to try and see if we can catch up with them again, we'll send you over to Steve, who's got an owl for you.
Welcome back to us, everybody. We found one of the wigs. I don't know which one. This is the jackalberry tree that a very famous sebwig, spotted eagle owl, was found by. I'm just going to keep quiet, allow you to listen to currachain thrush and the fork-tailed drongo getting very upset. See them trying to bomb it. Very brave. Get into the time of night when those birds will be going to sleep, and these owls will be waking up, going on the hunt. Nearly impossible to see. Camouflage. Double six says, hoo-hoo. Indeed, double six. I don't know who it is. Is it Sebwig's mom or Sebwig's dad, or is it Sebwig? Who can tell the difference between them? They should all wear name badges. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? The second largest owl we find in this area, the giant or Varro's eagle owl, and then the spotted. You see, as you pull back there, it's just very hard to see. Aussie lady, we all love seeing owls, and you do too. That is awesome. I had a pearl spotted owlet earlier, but he didn't stick around. Looks like this one. Ear tufts. Yellow eyes. Lack of pink eyelids, which you'd find with a giant eagle owl. Shaking his head. Such remarkable creatures. Very good. Well, it is the time of the nocturnals, and we send you back over to Barney and his lions.
Look at how, like, still the young female with the cubs is leading the way, so the direction that they're heading towards now, it's exactly where they came from yesterday morning before they went and crossed out. You can see all the adult lionesses are taking the lead because they are already thinking about opportunities, because they're walking through some open areas where they could come across things like impalas and wildebeest. At this moment in time, the cubs are behaving themselves. They left right at the back of the queue as the adults walk past us. Look at the muscles on the shoulders and on the side of the stomach of this lioness that's walking past us now. Not looking at us at all. Look like she's focused on something up ahead, possibly looking at a female in front to see where she's taking them. See, if you look where the cubs are now, you can see there's a game path, a game trail as we call it, which is a path that animal utilizes to go to and from the waterhole back to the grazing area, which over the time of animals walking back and forth towards the waterholes, that path becomes so nice and smooth that it's easier for these lions to follow and walk in these particular paths. And when we are on foot with the trackers trying to track them, this is the type of stuff we're hoping for, to actually see their tracks on a nice soft ground where we can confirm for ourselves that they're going that way. But that is the easiest part of the job when it comes to tracking. If you look all over where they are, imagine when they go into that long grass, where the grass is so short and already flattened, that even if they step or don't step in there, you don't really see any signs that they've walked past there. That's when the job becomes slightly difficult. But right now, as they do it for themselves, not really for us, this is the type of stuff that we're kind of hoping for. I don't know if you saw how quickly this young male, the white young male, is moving, trying to overtake some of his siblings. It looks like he's worried about the distance in between them and the adults. It looks like he's trying to catch up. Whereas that lioness behind him looks like she's limping slightly, but it could be the fact that she's been lying on that leg for a while. So after walking for a bit, that might change. So we don't know. Monique, really beautiful indeed. Look at this young male with his limp, but keeping up with the pride and not looking too bad at all at the moment. But like me, as I mentioned the other day, that looks like an injury that is going to live his whole life with. I don't think he's going to fully recover from that one. Some of the individuals are doing what cubs do at the back of the queue, playing around and chasing each other as the others carry on walking. But once they realize that the adults have gone as far as they have already, they're possibly going to have to start running to catch up with the rest of them. As for this young male that's walking towards us, he's doing exactly as a fully grown male lion will do, being the lazy guy, hanging right at the back and just making sure that he still keeps sight of the rest of the pride, but not trying too quickly to catch up with them. Only time you see him trying to catch up with them too quickly is if he hears that they're catching something from the front. So these lions have walked by. We're just gonna enjoy the last view of this guy as you walk to the back of the vehicle where we can't see, and then we'll send you over to Mike for a quick update.
Welcome back, everyone. So, we've been a bit quiet this side. You haven't seen us much, but the reserve hasn't been quiet at all. It's been a pretty weird afternoon. We did find a lioness with youngsters feeding on an impala, and she was chased away by some elephants, but really tricky area to film. We had no signal at all, so we really struggled there. So then we decided to go somewhere else. Someone else told us that they had seen a potential leopard in an area. We drove all the way there and found 2 young leopard cubs in a tree. We didn't see the mother, but also just no signal. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring you that stuff, so it was really beautiful. Took a few pictures though, and try and see if we can get those up on one of the platforms at some point so you guys can have a look as well. Also be good to help us to start an ID kit for all the youngsters and the other leopards on Pride lands. But right now we're just driving slowly towards Leopard Dam to see last minute light. If there's any animals coming down to drink at the water, any other creatures, big or small. Yeah, it's been a wonderful afternoon though. Sometimes we don't get to show you all this stuff, but just knowing that it's there and seeing it, it's just wonderful. Especially because we don't know too much about the dynamics yet of the animals on Pride land. So every time we get to look at them, even if it's just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we slowly start to build up the characters of these animals and understand what they do, what they like, what they don't like, where their territories are, even so much as what kind of food they like to eat, which does help us to build up the whole idea of where we can find these animals. It's just a shame that obviously this afternoon didn't work out. Sometimes in those areas we do have signal, so we were just hoping, we sat there for ages with those leopards, hoping that the signal would improve, that we could get it to you. Today wasn't our day. HB, you're glad that we have all this stuff out and about, and you're saying it's nice to hear about it. Yeah, it is awesome to hear about it. Some days it's quiet, some days it's busy, and that's the beauty of the bush. You just never know what's around any of the corners. We could literally, as we're driving now, all of a sudden bump into a different pride of lions. You never know what you're going to find. A different leopard, hyenas. We actually saw a hyena just before you guys came to us. Just walking through, it was very far away. But yeah, so there's just a magic thing about the bush. Magic thing about Africa. Right, so while we slowly make our way towards Leopard Dam and see what we can find, we're going to send you for the last light over at Djuma.
It is the last light, and isn't it just beautiful? And wouldn't you scream as if your favorite sports team has won something if a leopard just, the silhouette of it just jumped out of that tree? I certainly would. But it's not going to happen because there's no leopard in that tree. But that's okay. So we have a few minutes left of drive, just under 15 minutes, so it's nice and dark and spotlight is out. Hopefully that means that we'll have the opportunity to look a little bit better in the bushes for those shiny eyes. And maybe a chameleon. We've got our owl, since Steve got the owl. Now we need to find a leopard and a chameleon, as was on our list for the day. Or at least my list. Just gorgeous. I think I'm going to do one more loop to Galago Pan. Oh, hi Bacon, you say this tree looks like a can opener? Oh, what have you started? Oh, hi Bacon. It also looks like a thumb with fingers at the top. It's about to grab something. Or a bottle opener. An opener in general, I think. Very, very pretty tree. Yes, oh, the letter F as well. Very, very cool. Some birds flying off. It's still nice and warm, so I have faith that we could find a chameleon. Okay, I think a Galago Pan. Let's try Galago Pan for the last few minutes in the darkness. And I'm going to leave the owl searching to Steve, who's pretty good at it.
Who's got owls? No more owls. We left our owl there to its wonderful evening as the birds started to finally flitter away and go find their roost. They just had to give the owl a hard time before going to sleep. Now it's the owl's turn to give everybody a hard time. It's a wonderfully warm evening, everybody. Trish is looking for a chameleon, of course. I wonder if she's going to be upset if I find one first. Yeah? I think she's actually quite a good sport, old Trish. So I'm not challenging her to chameleon find, but she's quite a good sport, you know. She'd be quite happy for me if I found one. I haven't found one in ages, to be honest. I haven't really been looking very hard. It is something that you can find if you're looking for it. If you're not really looking for a chameleon, well, it does exactly what it does. It camouflages itself and it hides. So what we've done is we've come along our southern boundary because the lions moved along here. Chrissy, you want me to find Tingy? I've actually been looking for him this afternoon, and for any signs of Tundi. I mean, here we are on our southern boundary. I heard last time Tundi was in Little Gowrie. I found some tracks this morning with some poo that's a few days old on the sort of Battalier towards the east, and I'm pretty sure it belongs to Tundi. So I'm going to be working that area over the next few days, and at the same time encompassing areas that Tingana often frequents. I haven't seen him in ages. Last time I see, I think, Trishala got him at Galago. and I didn't get to see him. So it's been a while, the old Duke. But I'm very, very excited to be finding Thandi and her little cub and see how they're doing. But as we enjoy our nice warm evening, let's go over to Tswalu Kalahari once again, where it's a little bit chillier.
Well, one thing I can say is that Jandre and I are still alive. That's a good thing. But it is incredibly cold, I must say, and the temperature is going down at a rate of knots now. But we've just had another very, very brief sighting of a Cape Fox, a second Cape Fox. But that one trotted off, it didn't wait around for us. But I'm not giving up hope. We're still trying to find an African wildcat. They're here. There's lots of them. We just need to find them. And we will not give up. We will find them. Oh, what? Oh no. Sorry. It's the same bush. Every time I come down this road, I look at the same bush and I get the same, like, whoa, there's a wildcat feeling. But no, we'll get them. So these big open flat areas are really good for things like artful bat-eared foxes. It's good hunting terrain for them. And cheetah. You never know when you encounter cheetah out in these areas. Or a snowman. Or a yeti. Billy's just commented that we haven't seen lions with you for a while. I actually have something up my sleeve, maybe for tomorrow. But I can't tell you what it is just yet. But watch this space for details. It'll mean a bit of legwork during the day tomorrow, but I'll see if I can get it right for you. So yeah, that'll be on lions. Look how beautiful these mountains are. Yes, it's all just so beautiful out here, man. Another tough day in Africa. Ooh la la. It is a tad chilly out here. I hope all our colleagues are nice and warm wherever they're doing their going drives. Yeesh. Come on, come people. Sounds like one of them, I think it's Barney, has got some big cats, speaking of lions. So we'll carry on trying to survive here, and you guys go enjoy that.
So we heading across into some nice areas with the drainage line. But the general direction of where they're heading is really cool. It's right onto the central part of the property, being led again by that female with the young cubs. So it will be interesting to see what happens overnight tomorrow morning, try and catch up with their tracks. Since they are coming right into the center of the pro, might have done overnight. With the wind that's picking up, hopefully maybe they might have something to eat overnight. If it's something big like a zebra or buffalo, we might be lucky to find them still busy feeding. But of course, if it's something small like an impala, it will be done before we get there. So I think, yeah, we had a good day. We were successful enough to get lions and leopards and elephants earlier on. So I think let's look forward to tomorrow's drive and see what else we can get. If you can tune in with us again tomorrow morning, starting from 6:30, and see what we can get. So yeah, we are gonna send you over to Steve as we drive through this nice windy road to be able to catch up with him and see what he's got.
Yeah, have our spotlight out and we are on the search for a hashtag last minute leopard. Why not? Maybe a chameleon. Trishal is definitely trying to find a chameleon. So you never know what could pop out. You're out there, Niels? Oh, sorry, my audio had a little crackle there. Apologies. Sit very still. Drive like this. Don't move the body. Spotlight must automatically move. Evan says it sounded like I was eating Cocoa Pops without the water, without the milk. I mean, Cocoa Pops with water. That must be next level gross. We diverge. Last minute animals on the show are actually quite profound. We do find them regularly. Who knows? Maybe we'll get an opportunity to see the skittish and hardly seen Mulwati on the way back. Here's the skittish male leopard that's hanging around. That is far less skittish after dark, which is sort of the normal way. Just the normal way for leopards who are skittish are much more climatized by night. Monique says, you know, you're going to ask for last minute scrub here. Well, Monique, we had a couple darting off into the bush there a moment ago. If you are dead set on a scrub hare, whew, we just went through the fridge there. Dead set on a scrub hare, I'm sure we could probably pull one together. There's one. Well, there's always a last minute scrub hare. Let's get it, Niels. We're probably going to need the IR light for him. So it's going to be a transition in a moment, Emma, to IR. There is a scrub hare on the other side of this termite mound. Okay, we are ready to go into the IR. And there he is. Oh, he's a quick guy. He's a very quick fellow. There we go, Niels. He's just there at 11 o'clock. 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock now. There he is over there. Last minute scrub here. Just a bit more to the left. There he is. Not the most amazing last minute scrub hare in the world, everybody, but Monique in London wanted a scrub hare. There he is. He's a little bit more calm with the lights off now. He thinks we can't see him. He doesn't realize that we've got the most amazing cameras here. And they love coming out in these short open areas. There's a little bit of green grass flushing due to, it seems, a little bit of new or late rain, should I say. Wonderful. There we go. We've achieved our objective of last minute scrub hare, not last minute chameleon or leopard. But we do thank you all for your time and your questions. We'll see you from all our amazing locations in the morning. Until then, have a good night and goodbye.